Hello, welcome to Tutors of Life podcast, where we research life so you don't have to. Episode 185. This is your host, Shaun Tutor.
And this is Sam. This is a tutor episode where we try to teach you something new.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
We had a 1 week stint of really nice weather.
Yes.
We're talking like
70s.
heat wave. 80s.
Sure did get up to the 80s a couple days.
It was like 86 on Wednesday.
It was really nice.
We had this stint of serenity.
Yep.
And now it's fucking 36 degrees. Raining. Gonna snow.
Mm-hmm.
You know all I can say about that?
Wisconsin.
Living the dream.
We live in Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's pretty gay. So, you know, that's kind of life.
Mm-hmm.
So we went from like in the 20s, maybe even 10s.
To straight up 70 degrees.
No, to 85. Like, dude, we went from like under 20 degrees 1 week to 85 the next week to now we're back down
to 20s.
To 20s this week.
Yeah. Well, I think it's only supposed to be 20s in the night. It's 30s during the day.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Tomorrow's supposed to be the colder day, and then it goes back into the 40s, 50s, and then 60s again.
I'm just like, how the fuck that happened?
Right. Only one time did Shaun and I experience a crazy temperature difference when we were going to Singapore. So my second time to Singapore, Shaun's first time. We went from negative 20 degree weather to 80 degree weather.
Yeah.
So that was a big difference.
100 degree swing.
Yep. It was bad.
I was so sick.
I think the first time I went, it was when it was like negative 40 out because my car wouldn't start.
Wow.
But we went to Japan first where it was 40 or 50. But we were all wearing shorts and long sleeves in Japan, and they're all wearing like parkas.
It was like when we went and visited Sam and Kristen.
Yeah, that was another one.
Everyone's wearing like jeans or slacks and sweaters. Some people wearing coats, and you and I are in like shorts and tank tops. Like, this is heavenly.
Yeah. So it makes you appreciate warmer places, that's for sure. Cool. Okay, enough about life, because we're not supposed to do that on here.
Why not?
That's what talk episodes are for, Shaun.
I don't care.
So, Shaun, what are we doing? What are we talking about? Tutoring about?
Okay. Well, first, Sam and I and Kyle and some of our family are 16 days deep in 75 hard.
Yes, we are.
How do you like it?
You know, it's not that bad.
So far, I honestly haven't thought it was that bad so far.
Yeah, it's really, which is interesting because that's what the book talks about. It's really boosted my confidence in a lot of different ways. Like already in 16 days in.
You're right.
Shaun and I have each had a couple events we've gone to that we obviously couldn't drink at. Oh, wait. Let's explain 75 hard.
Yeah, okay.
So 75 hard is 75 days long.
Yeah.
We have to do 2 45-minute workouts.
Yep.
One has to be outside.
Right.
Every single day.
Yep.
We have to read 10 pages of a nonfiction personal development type of book.
Yep.
We have to drink a gallon of water.
Yep.
And take a progress picture every single day.
Yep.
And then follow a meal plan.
Yep.
For 75 days straight. So there's no cheat meals.
Right.
No alcohol.
Yep. No sweets, no junk food.
Yep. Our meal plan hasn't changed too much, which I find, like, he says do something that challenges you. It's kind of what we've already been doing, so...
For the last 5 years, I've been playing around with my diet to find a diet that really works with my body. And so, over the last 5 years, I've found that diet. I follow that diet. We follow that diet to like 80%.
Yeah.
And so, I'm not about to take out the diet that I found works for me.
Just
it's clean.
Yeah.
It's a clean diet. We, pretty 80% of it is... It's not processed. It's all whole foods.
Yeah.
You know, that's our diet. So pretty much all we've done with that is
clean it up even more.
We've cleaned it up. We took out the junk food, so no more junk food. No like Sam used to get chips
and pop every once in a
while.
while.
No more chips and pop. I used to get pop sometimes too.
Yeah.
So no more pop for me.
No more sweets.
Sweets is huge. I used to eat some sort of sweet like every single day.
Yeah.
Whether it be like I stop at Dunkin' and grab my iced coffee, which I always get iced Americano blacks. So like it's nothing for calories or anything, but I would most of the time get like a donut with it.
Yeah.
Or if Kyle was out doing something or I was out doing something, we'd stop at Quick Trip and grab like a cookie or a Little Debbie or, something. And so pretty much I'd eat some sort of sweet every day.
Yeah.
So no more junk, no more sweets. We just cleaned it all up.
And he says in like, so we're going to kind of discuss like the book a little bit, or a part of the book. In his book, he talks about too that it should be a meal plan that challenges you. It's challenging us in the way that like we depended on those snacks and sweets a lot. That like it's been kind of a challenge for us. Like every day we do think about like, oh, it'd be just so nice to have a cookie.
No, bro. It's been a big fucking challenge.
Yeah.
So the diet shit, the meal plan, I love it, but it is a challenge every single day because pretty much every night after dinner, we'd have a piece of dark chocolate.
Yeah.
And now we don't. And so, like, we were programmed to have a piece of dark chocolate every night after dinner. And now that we're not, it's like, fuck. Mm-hmm. And so that chocolate's still sitting in our freezer. Mm-hmm. And so when I open up that freezer every day to grab some ice or something or to grab some meat out, I'm like, fuck.
That'd be nice.
Yeah. And so that is such a massive struggle. And so where we really struggled a lot, or so like we've been to a few events.
Yep.
Here's where I struggled. 4 days into the event.
Yeah, you had a hard time.
I went to a brewery for Muskie Tank Mixer. It's an entrepreneur group. So I went there with Ryan. Everybody around me is drinking beer and eating pizza, and a brick oven pizza, and I'm sitting here drinking my water. That was fucking challenge number one.
He was smart enough to eat before he went, though.
I ate a meal, and then I was drinking a
protein
smoothie.
Oh,
a smoothie on the drive to pound down another 600 calories to hopefully, like, curb that. Didn't help. Well, it helped, right? It helped because I wasn't hungry. But, like, knowing who I am, I would just have crushed that pizza and beer. Mm-hmm. And then we've had a few more things. So, like, going down to River Jams.
Yeah, for Whiskeria.
For Whiskeria, we always get Deep Eddies
and lemonade. And it was such like a beautiful warm day, and it just sounded
75
so
degrees,
refreshing after being out in the hot sun.
Kyle and I fucking roofed all day long. Nothing sounds better than a fucking Deep Eddies lemonade. And we were drinking water. Mm-hmm. That was fucking main challenge number 2 for me.
Yeah, that one was hard.
That was tough. And then the third biggest challenge was actually right before that, and that was Easter. Went to an Easter buffet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so went to an Easter buffet. And, we stuck to, like, the eggs.
The potatoes.
The bacon, and, like, the vegetables.
I think the worst thing we got was biscuits and gravy.
Yeah. Yeah, which we just had one little biscuit.
Yeah, we each had half.
Yeah. And so I was like, but the hardest thing about that whole thing
was the table of sweets.
There's a table of sweets in the center, just huge. And we're like, yeah, so we can't eat that.
Yep.
I will say, like, the saving grace for me is I'm trying to put on weight. Mm-hmm. And so I make sure that I'm eating, like, natural shit. So we're not eating, like, processed foods. So our main diet is, like, keep the processed shit out, and we can just eat. So, like...
Down to, like, my coffee creamer, I'm now making by hand.
Yeah. And so, yeah, we take out, like, seed oils, and we took out, like, all that shit. And so we're eating, like, clean, natural food. But, like, my saving grace, I guess, is since I'm trying to put on weight, I'm not just eating, like, only protein. I'm eating, like, oats with peanut butter to, like, try and put on weight. I'm eating, like, sourdough bread and peanut butter to try and shit like that. So I still get the sweet aspect of peanut butter. And then, like, Kyle showed me how to make overnight oats with a scoop of chocolate protein. And so it's like, fuck, it tastes like goddamn... It tastes like it shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, it tastes like a cookie.
It's so delicious, dude.
Our protein powder is probably actually the worst thing that we eat.
Yeah, yep. And we choose our protein powder, which is diamantized because it's got, like, the least amount of shit in it, but still is the most flavorful. And we've been doing that for years.
Yeah. Which now we discovered I have to switch my flavor, so I'm very upset.
Yeah, because it's food dye.
Yeah. But the meal plan, you have to set guidelines before you even start 75 hard. Because very easily throughout the whole thing, like, we'd be like, oh no, this is actually okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it make it way easier.
Yep.
So like we set up some. I mean, the main guidelines were just the same diet we always had. Take out as much processed stuff as we can.
The only processed things we allow is our protein shakes.
Yeah.
And energy. Like we'll only do one type of energy drink.
Yep.
And our protein shake.
Yep.
That's the only processed things we eat.
Yep. I started with creamer, but we didn't realize how bad it was until one weekend, and I was like, I feel like I'm cheating.
Yep.
So I'm finishing up my last bit of. Last week I did have a homemade creamer.
Yep.
But then we had one little bottle left of creamer, and I was like, I might as well finish this, otherwise it's gonna go bad. So.
Right. Yeah. Yes. So
I think probably protein powder and the energy drink. It will be the only processed things in the end of this. So.
yeah.
End of this journey.
Yeah. So I mean that was our big thing is we wanted to like for our diet we wanted to make it very sustainable.
Mm-hmm.
But Sam and I we don't struggle with our weight.
Yeah.
Like my struggle with my weight is I want to weigh more.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was one thing with starting this diet because you get to pick a meal plan for your goals. I wasn't going to cut out shit to lose weight because that's so far from my goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I'm eating a lot of fats. I'm eating a lot of carbs. And like I just talked to Sam Jacobs this morning because I've been eating too much protein.
Mm-hmm.
And so he told me to take out
Protein
more
and-
protein and add in more fats and carbs so I can
yeah.
gain more weight. So that's what I'm going to do there, which is like for how I used to be, I feel like I'm cheating myself by eating more like carbs, like more oatmeal and like sweet potatoes and shit like that. I feel like I'm cheating myself cuz whatever, but I'm trying to bulk, so I have to like break because I've always been really big on like lower carbs, high protein.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel the best on that. But I do know if I want to gain weight, I have to break that in my mind, and I have to eat. So I'm averaging like 350 grams of carbs a day, but I need to get that up a little higher still.
Yeah.
So.
And then you probably won't have to eat as much.
Right, yeah, because right now I'm doing like 275 of protein, which is too high. So I'm going to get my protein down to 210, 220. And I'm going to try to take my carbs to average out around like 375, 400.
Yeah.
And then my fats I'd let roll high, like 175.
Yeah. It'll be interesting what your next blood draw looks like, too.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I do know, though, like, I'm excited how it goes weight gain this time around with all natural processed foods for my blood draw. Mm-hmm. Because last time I gained weight heavily was not clean.
No, Shaun was eating out every single meal, every single day.
And
maybe
my
except
bloods-
for a breakfast.
My bloods were absolutely fucked. I got all fucked up from it.
You get pancreatitis from it.
Right. And so I'm excited to see because I'll be getting bloods done in about 2 months.
Yeah, probably.
So right at the end of the program.
Yeah, I should really get my bloods done.
Yeah, so I'll be excited to see like my bloods at the end of this. How, because I'm trying to gain 8 pounds, which doesn't sound like a lot, but is a lot because I'm fairly lean.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 6-pack at all times.
Yeah, and I mean we're working out twice a day, so it makes it harder.
So yeah, I'm excited to see at the end of it how my bloods look with like so many carbs and see if that affect my pancreas at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see. Fun. Yeah. Okay, so where are we going with this?
The main struggle with us is we did eat out quite a bit. Like getting snacks from Quick Trip, or if we're too lazy to make dinner, we just go get food. So that is like where our struggle is now we have to like actually make food at home. I've never had to clean my kitchen so much.
Yeah, that's been a huge thing. But okay, so what I'm already learning with this and what like we're already building on this 16 days in is this. I was after jiu-jitsu Friday, we hung out and we grilled out at the gym. Most of the people there were having a beer afterwards, having a couple beers afterwards. Mm-hmm. There was chips, and so there's chips, and then they're making burgers. There's also a vegetable tray. So usually my ass.
Oh, and chips. Did you say
that's
chips?
That's chips. Yeah. Usually my ass would be slurping down a few beers. Mm-hmm. I'd be eating the chips, and and I wouldn't even touch that veggie tray. But since we're doing 75 hard, and like I told Sarah there, she's like, "Oh, Shaun, you want some chips or a beer or whatever?" I'm like, "No, I'm doing 75 hard." She's like, "Damn." She's like, "Well, there's a veggie tray and there's beef jerky." And I was like, "Done, dude," to hold me over till the burgers. And so then, like, just knowing that, I just drank my water, I ate my vegetables, ate some jerky, and then when we came around to dinner, when the burgers were done, didn't do the bun. I just ate 3 patties, just the burger patties, and those like little hurdles is really making me understand, like, just because everybody around me is doing it doesn't mean I have to do it. And none of them even like said anything about it.
No
one said anything about it. They're like, "Hey, you want this?" I'm like, "Oh no, that's all right. I just do it this way." And they're like, "Oh, cool, man." Like,
I was saying before we started this, and that reminded me of it. 75 hard has made me gain so much confidence because I always felt like I needed alcohol to be social. So this forces you obviously to not be that way. So at Whiskeria, it took me a while to get into like the mood to start talking to people, but like once I started, like it was very fine, very easy. I also had book club this week, which is like, I think we had 10 of us women, and usually everyone's pretty much drinking. Luckily right now we have 2 pregnant women, so they're not drinking, and that was like just very easy to flow into conversations with them and like be confident. And I was just like, oh, like this is a lot easier to be sober than I thought.
oh yeah.
And that reminds me, that was one of my biggest complaints with moving back to Eau Claire. My freshman year of college, I went to MATC, Madison Area Technical College, in Madison, Wisconsin, and my roommates, one of my roommates also went to MATC. My other 2 went to UW Eau Claire, or UW Madison. And so we would go to house parties all the time. In my freshman year of college, I didn't drink.
Right.
I didn't drink any alcohol. People in Madison were so accepting of it. Like, they did not care.
Yeah.
Like, they were just like, "Oh, do you want something to drink?" And I'd be like, "No, I'm just drinking water." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, cool, that's fine." They let me play, like, beer pong and flip cup with drinking water. As soon as I came to Eau Claire, dude, people pressure you into it.
Yeah.
They think something is wrong with you if you don't drink.
Yeah, dude. A lot of people, even like a lot of adults I know, like will pressure me into drinking, and I'm just like, "Dog, I don't even want to drink, dude. Like, chill on me a bit. Don't you want to have fun? Don't you want to do this and that?" And I'm, no, motherfucker, I don't.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times, like, over many years, I've like thought that a lot. Like, oh, going somewhere, like I don't actually want to drink because like I want to train this afternoon, or I don't want to drink because I want to get up the next morning and train, or whatever, right? And you go and everyone's just like pressuring the shit out of you to drink, and you just end up caving. But now we can't cave, and I'm like, fuck, dude. I don't even, like, after 75 hard and stuff, already knowing, like, I don't have to cave.
Yeah.
I can just, like, I don't have to have a beer.
There's, like, 8 of us in a group that are doing it right now, and 2 of them have even said, like, there's, like, I don't know if I'm going to drink again after this. I mean, they are, like, I guess I don't know how. I mean, Margot's older, so I could see it, like, once you're in your, like, 40s, 50s, 60s. I do kind of want to try, though, going, like, out with some friends, like, to the bar and just drinking water and see how it goes.
So I've done that a few times. So when I used to run cycles, I would do that. Because I'd be, like, on orals and shit, and I would just go out with friends, and that's when I didn't even drink pop.
Yeah.
So I would just drink water or, like, a lemonade, and it wasn't bad.
Yeah. I just, like, kind of, like, I would like to I guess practice the socialization aspect of it, of like.
Well, that's something I dealt with going out with you and your family for Spot the Shot. Was like every bar we'd go to. Hey, do you guys got any coffee? And like every bar I went to, hey, you guys got any coffee? They just look at me like, no, we don't have fucking coffee. Do you want a beer? And I'm like, I'll have a Gatorade.
And then the like one bar that had coffee, all of us got coffee.
Yeah, dude. And they charged us $1 a coffee.
Yeah.
And it didn't even matter. I'm like, yeah, bro, here you go. Here's a tip.
Yeah.
That's like one thing that irritates me is like we were at Ray's.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, so this is what was great. When we were at Ray's, I'm like, it's like 8 p.m. and I didn't want to drink, and I didn't even give a fuck if I'm up late. So I'm like, hey, you guys got any coffee? And the guy's like, no, but want me to make a batch for you? And he's like, if I make a batch, so is more than one you drinking it? And I was like, yeah, all 4 of us are getting coffee if you make it.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude's like, okay, done.
Yeah.
Made coffee, charged us $1 a pop. I left like a $10 tip. I'm like, because you fucking made us coffee, you get a $10 tip. That's more than I would have tipped you for beer because you're willing to give me coffee.
100%.
And the coffee costed nothing.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but...
The water probably costed more than the coffee at that point.
Right.
Just kidding.
Right. Well, so I just don't think a lot of...
Bars think about that.
No, right. Because it's such a stigma in, like, the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
Or, sorry, not the U.S., in Wisconsin to drink. Mm-hmm. Especially northern Wisconsin is like, you drink or you die.
Right. Like, because what else are you going to do, especially in the wintertime?
Right.
So, yeah, that's one cool thing. The main thing we want to talk about is in the back of the 75 hard book. I haven't read it. I just read the last 10 pages that Shaun
I made her read the last 10 pages
Mm-hmm.
for this.
Once Kyle is done reading it, then I'll read it. But Shaun got to read it. Do you think just reading the book alone is helpful? Like, even if you don't do 75 hard, do you think reading the book is valuable?
Yes.
Is it going to make you want to do 75 hard?
Right. So, yeah, just reading the book is very valuable, and that's why I had you read the last 10 pages, because the last 10 pages, with or without 75 hard, is phenomenal, and that's why I wanted you to read it. But it goes in, like, once you read the book, you'll want to do it.
Yeah.
Once you get to the last page, it's like a challenge of like, hey, motherfucker, after you just read 200 pages of personal development and mental strength, mental toughness, are you really not going to take the first fucking step and start this shit? And it's like, oh, damn, you're right. But I just finished it this morning, or last night.
Yeah, we're at
15 days in when I finished it.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing with it. So here's the main.
Do you want to hand me the book?
Yeah, my favorite part of the whole book, the last 10 pages, was in the frequently asked questions. This is something I struggle with, and I know a lot of people struggle with massively. Mm-hmm. I've tried. I do reprogram myself, but there's one topic in general I don't, and I need to. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it's, don't focus on the consequence. Focus on the outcome. Mm-hmm. Okay? And so right now we're sacrificing. Mm-hmm. So we're running 75 hard, and we are sacrificing sweets. We're sacrificing drinking. We're sacrificing some time. However, we did find out we got a lot more fucking time in the day. Yeah.
Cell phones. You can take out a lot of time, but not being able to scroll on Instagram. Or take back a lot of time?
Hour and 8 minutes less per day last week.
Oh, well, I haven't even checked mine.
And that was from the first week of doing it. And so, like, I am down like 2 hours a day from start, like.
This goes back to, like, when my dad first went to the hospital.
Yeah.
We discovered we had a lot more time because instead of being able to scroll on Instagram, I had to go to the hospital.
Right. So, so that we're sacrificing right now these things, which is drinking, cheat meals. Mm-hmm. Okay. But instead of thinking about every day, instead of thinking about, man, I wish I could have drank that fucking beer. I wish I could have ate that pizza at the whatever. Instead of thinking about that, think of the outcome. Mm. And the outcome is, dude, in 75 days, I'm going to be so fucking dialed in that fucking beer is not going to phase me. Mm-hmm. That fucking shitty Topper's pizza ain't going to phase me, right? So you'll be like dialed in that the outcome is, I'm thinking how fucking mentally tough I'm going to be. I'm thinking, damn, dude, my little bit of love handles I got, that shit's going to be tight. Mm-hmm. That's going to be tightened up in 75 days. So instead of thinking of the sacrifice, think of the outcome. And then anytime you think of that sacrifice, you have to call yourself out.
And redirect.
And redirect yourself back to it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's just like fucking working with group home guys,
Mm-hmm.
you have to fucking call out the behavior and then redirect them.
Mm-hmm. Or like scare them. So like a lot of times you just like yell hey at them and
Right.
be like, oh, can you go do this for me?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, I can't. Fuck, dude. I need to do more CPI training stuff. I'm a little out of practice with it, but yeah, it's like it's something like stop and redirect.
Yeah.
So it's like boom,
You shock them.
shock and redirect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um.
Maybe I should be teaching those CPI
Yeah.
classes.
Seriously. Anyways, go in more on what you think about that.
On the stop and redirect, or
No, on the like what I said about the outcome.
yeah, it goes. We've talked about this before. Like, if you think about falling, you're gonna fall. Like, if you're hiking or whatever, if you're just like, don't fall, you're gonna fall.
I've fucking done this.
We just talked about it with the fucking roof thing the other day.
So Sam's like, Shaun, if you ever think about falling, because Kyle and I were roofing last week, she's like, if you think you're gonna fall off the roof,
Put your harness on.
put your harness on. And I was just like, oh, I think about falling off all the time, but I don't think like I'm going to fall off. I go, damn, dude, I could fall off, right?
Yeah.
And she brought up the knife example I told her about. Back when I was working with Nate, I was up on the ladder and I was doing, what the fuck was I doing?
Weren't you like on trusses and you had to like cut something off or something?
No, I was up on a ladder and I was trimming a piece of J channel. Yeah, so I was cutting a piece of J channel with my knife, and I was like, in my brain, I was like, dude, I'm gonna cut myself. The next cut, I cut myself, and I like gashed the shit out of myself. I had to go down. I was like, Nate, I fucked up, da da da, and I like wrapped it up, and he's like, did you fucking think you were gonna cut yourself? And I was like, oh yeah, dude. The second before I cut myself, I thought I was gonna cut myself, and he's like, if you ever have that thought, you get down, you stop. You stop working, you fix your brain, and you get back to work. He's like, I can't tell you the amount of times I've thought, I'm going to cut myself, I'm going to hit myself, I'm going to whatever. And he says it immediately happens. He's like, if that thought comes in your brain, you have to stop work, redirect your brain, and then get back to it.
One of the best examples he used is NASCAR driving.
Yeah.
Because one of his friends does it, and so he's gotten to do it. And they say the best NASCAR drivers, if they start... Well, let's go with the worst. The worst NASCAR drivers, or like the newbies, when they start veering towards the wall, they look at the wall. And because they're looking at their wall, their brain automatically directs them to the wall, and they usually hit it. But experienced drivers will just keep looking forward, straight down, and they correct themselves to stop going towards the wall because that's where their vision is pointed.
Dude, that's why... I brought up drifting to you the other day because I used to have an RX-8, so I used to drift around all the time. And I used to be able to, like, if there's two parked cars, I used to be able to, like, drift between the parked cars. That's exactly why I didn't even pay attention to the cars. Now I see the cars first. Before I didn't see the cars, I just saw the road.
You just saw the drift challenge.
Yeah, I saw the path, and I'd hit the path. I remember I was drifting down around like somewhere down Eau Claire by back behind the, so you know, down by the college, the apartments down by the college where Just Local Foods is.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So I was down in that area, and I was just driving, and there was this corner, and it was a really tight corner, and then there was a car a little ways out. I see the car, I know the corner, and I don't even think. I just freaking rip it. And I was with Kyle, and he's like fucking holding on for dear life, and I'm just like focused in the road, just drifting inches from smoking a curb, and then like within a foot of smoking a car, and I'm just like, no worries, just on through, right? And Kyle's like, what the fuck, how didn't you crash? And I was just like, I didn't think about it.
I didn't even notice the car.
You didn't. It's not even there. It's exactly what he's saying.
Yeah, and now reading this, I have noticed, and it's not like I've purposely done it, but like we've talked about this, and you're just like, well, there's like still time for us to fail, and I haven't even thought about failing. I just keep thinking about like, man, this is gonna be so cool when we finish this.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be so excited June 14th when we're on our last day. Like I've only been thinking about finishing it. I haven't even thought about failing.
Yeah. Well, like the couple times I thought about failing, I'm like, yeah, it just ain't. I can't do it.
I guess when I think about failing, it's not like I am gonna fail this. It's just like, man, that beer would taste really good right now, and then it'd be like, but it's gonna be so cool to finish this.
Oh yeah, dude, it's not even like.
Yeah.
But that's the redirect part, right?
Yeah.
So you think about it, you're like, damn, that piece of chocolate would be good. But you're like, nah, dude. In fucking 75 days, I'm going to be so dialed. Fuck it.
I usually, just flail around. I usually, especially with food, I redirect myself with, like, eating something different. So, like, I really wanted a beer the other night, so I was just like, oh, I'm going to have some chicken broth.
Yeah.
Or, like, I'll redirect my mind into drinking something else besides water.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's this, I highly recommend this book in general. It's so, and I think it's going to help Shaun and I a lot in business, because now I feel like with any business ventures we go into, or, like, even tutors of life, like, I'm only going to think of the outcome now.
Yes.
So, like, I know in order to take this where I want to, I'm going to have to sacrifice some time with Shaun and Mimi. Mimi usually just comes up and lays down anyways. So, it doesn't matter too much. But I know I do need to sacrifice some time to get to where I want. And I'm only going to focus on where I want to take Tutors of Life.
Yeah. That's smart.
Yeah, Shaun even highlighted stuff. You guys should be impressed.
Yeah. So this is one thing I've thought about a lot that's really, like, stumped me up is like cars, because I've had so many different cars for, like, the instant gratification of getting, like, cars. And because I'm always thinking about the sacrifice of, if I don't get this, then, like, someone else is going to get it and I won't get the deal, or, like, if I don't get this, I don't get to experience it and all that shit. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I can go a year without, like, a toy car, or, like,
Yeah.
because, dude, I've, like, the only time I didn't have a toy was the first 3 years of starting
Stable Living. Yeah.
Other than that, I've always had a toy car since, like, 17. I've had 16. Since I got my license, I've always had some sort of, like, summer toy car.
Yeah.
And so it's like, for those 3 years with Stable Living was the only time I didn't. And it was like, somehow, or, like, then I was okay with the sacrifice, because I knew I was, like, looking at the outcome.
Yeah.
And I was okay with, but, like, lately, now that I've gotten a few dollars to my name again, I look at the sacrifice and I'm like, well, fuck, how could I go a whole summer without a toy? Or, like, you know, but what I need to focus on, and the outcome I need to focus on, and, like, the vision I need to focus on is, like, if I just don't and I just save for a year, I'm not driving a fucking $10,000 Corvette anymore. Like, I'm not driving a fucking whatever, like a $8,000 RX-8 or whatever it is, right? It's like, no, if I just save and I sacrifice and I don't think about the sacrifice, I think of the outcome, in a year I'll be driving, like, a 40 grand Porsche. And I just gotta, like,
and we've calculated out, at one point, Shaun did, the cost he's put into registering all of the cars he has.
yeah, so it's, yeah.
It was, like, a ridiculous amount.
It's over 30 grand now.
Yeah, so you could have bought a Porsche.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's something that, like, I've actually kind of, like, pumped the brakes a little bit recently, and I have to constantly remind myself, is, like, the amount of money I've spent on cycling through these vehicles that I've never, like, truly loved or wanted. I could have, when I turned 16, I could have got my parents to co-sign, and I could have bought a $30,000 car or truck. That's just registration fees. That doesn't include all the money I've put in, all the, like, fix up, all the, like, money I've lost on some of the sales. It doesn't include interest payments, loan payments. It doesn't include
nothing.
Any of that. That is, I could have bought a $30,000 vehicle just for what I've spent in registration costs alone. And back then at 16, that vehicle I could have bought for 30 grand is, like, crazy, right? It would have been, I would have been in love with that quality of a vehicle. And now 10 years, 11, 12, 12 years later, because you got to think that would have been a 2011 pickup truck. I got a 2008 pickup truck. I could have bought a fucking nicer truck than that, brand new, that I have.
And had it paid off, and you could have traded up very easily.
It had paid off. I could have traded up, whatever. I could have had it, loved it, customized it, whatever. I'd be so much farther ahead. And think of the money I wouldn't have spent. I would have had that truck through Stable Living paid off.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had to like fluctuate through all these shitty vehicles and all this stuff. That I need to look at the outcome and not the sacrifice. And that's where I'm really, really stumped up. And that goes into psychology of money.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So.
And like that's the main point of like 75 Hard, is to make you like mentally tough and to like think about those things. And I honestly think us doing this is going to help us in a lot of different aspects. I've slowed down on buying Legos lately because I think about the fact of, yes, a lot of them will go up in price in the next 5-10 years. But if I'm just saving my investing money and like reinvesting in other things, it's not going to matter that it went up 20, 30, 40. Some of them actually have gone up 100% now.
Yeah.
It's not going to matter because we're going to just be able to be like, oh, whatever. This Lego set's $1,000. Sure.
Matter.
So that's like something I've also been trying to like think about when just with my hobbies of Legos and stuff. Some of them I still will buy. And like there is one now that Shaun and I have looked that it's gone up 150%. The Porsche.
I know, fucked up.
Yeah.
We still gotta get that.
So that might be like, there might be some that we buy now just because they have already increased so much. But we're definitely I'm more conscious of it now. What did I just see? Oh, this also plays really well. I'm really happy you're going to read the 4 agreements after this.
Oh, yeah.
Because it plays really well into this.
Okay.
Because he talks about, like, a lot of, like, the mental things of this. Like, I'm totally blanking on the actual 4 agreements. But, like, a lot of it is sticking to those agreements that you've made to yourself. So, like, doing the 4 agreements is going to make you a mentally tough person in its own.
Right.
So it plays really well with doing 75 Hard.
That makes sense.
So yeah, I'm very, very, very happy you're reading that after this.
Yeah. I like that one. Yeah. So like, cause I've been listening to Andy Frisella for many, many years. And I highly recommend listening to his podcast, Real AF, and checking out his stuff.
Oh, his CTI episode from Friday was
banging.
It really just teaches you about the world.
Yeah, dude. Sometimes I listen to that shit 2-3 times. Actually, one of my like favorite episodes with him as of recent was the one with Cody. Cody Sanchez. Phenomenal. I'll pull it up for you guys so you can get an episode number. That was one of my favorite episodes by far. We talked about that on the show.
Yeah, we have talked about it on here. And I love the fact, too, that, like, right, he even says, like, he gets to walk around with such swagger and confidence because, like, he's so mentally tough. Like, he just can do anything he puts his mind to because that's just how his mind works. Because he thinks of the outcome and he's just like, I'm going to get there.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, so episode 494, Small Business Revolution in America with Cody Sanchez.
It's a 2-parter, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a 2-parter. So it's 494.
495?
Wait,
or, no, it probably stays the same.
No, hers isn't. Hers
no.
isn't a 2-parter. Eric Spofford right before was a 2-parter. But yeah, no, it was that one was a beautiful one. But so I've been listening to his content for so long, and so when did I start doing it? It was last year, probably October, September of last year. I started doing the priorities. He always talks about 5 priorities. So I do anywhere from 3 to 5 priorities a day, depending on my day, because sometimes I just work construction all day and I don't even have 5 priorities to do. And so
you got to be careful with them too, because like Shaun was having issues with completing his, because it would be dependent on other people.
Yeah, I was getting tough. A few of the things were like, so like I'll have this. So what I used to do is like I'll have the house drywalled by the end of the day, and then a worker wouldn't show up, and I'm like, sure, I could have this done by the end of the day if I stay here till 2 a.m.
Yeah.
by myself, but it's like, well, so I started doing it where like my thing is like I will drywall today, like drywall for
at least you get to it.
yeah, like I'm just and so I started taking off reliance of people completely. But there's things that I'll put like some of the things I do now is like I will put something on my daily priorities and I will try to delegate it. And if I can't delegate it, I'll have to do it.
Yeah.
And so that's stuff that
That's cool.
But anyway, so I've been doing that. I fill out a daily planner, fill out my 3 to 5 priorities every day. And I've been doing that since like October. And the goal is like win as many days as possible. And I've won so many more than I've lost. Like I've won way more than I've lost, and that's just something that already like I've been slowly doing things, like taking things from these people I listen to, like Andy, and implementing them in my life, and it just helps so much with like the discipline of actually making sure I'm getting shit done.
Yeah.
And I noticed this: if I put something on like a to-do list, like just shit that needs to get to someday, I don't really get to it. If I put that bitch up on a priority,
you get to it.
And I'm like, I'm going to fail the day if I do not do this. My chances of doing it goes up so much. So much.
It's why it is nice to like have the combination of them. There is also the 3-3-3 rule. Because it's like the 3 priorities,
3 habits, and
3 maintenance.
Yeah, 3 maintenance, 3 habits, 3 priorities.
Yeah. So it's good to have like a giant to-do list, because then like when you have time, like, or just put one of those things on your priorities every single day until you dwindle that to-do list down.
Yeah, yep.
It is just nice to get a lot of those things out of your head and on paper.
Oh yeah, absolutely. What I noticed though is like just getting some of that shit down on paper throughout like the month. I'll go back and I'll look at like our VTO, like our to-do list, and I'll be like, oh shit, got that done, got that done, got that done, got that. And it's like kind of like the vision thing, like it's there, it's in plain sight, but you're not paying attention to it completely. But just by being there, it like gets done.
Yeah. That's what I did the other day through my journal, is I like went through and like crossed off things I wrote down to do just throughout my journal. And I was like, oh, I did actually do that. And then I made a to-do list on my OneNote on my phone now. So then I can also just like look at, or like I can add things whenever, because I don't carry my journal everywhere. So it's nice to have that now. But I was able to take so many things off because I was like, oh shit, I did actually do this.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that's kind of what we wanted to talk about. Is mentally toughness, and thinking about the future was mainly the main part.
The big thing. The main thing. Think about the outcome, not the sacrifice. And if you do think of the sacrifice, redirect yourself. Call yourself out, redirect yourself, and think on the outcome. Because the reason we're doing anything is for the outcome.
Yeah.
And comfort is not king. Dude, if you're the best, everybody, you should be the main plot of your movie. You should be the main character in a movie. So if you're not challenging yourself and you're not building a good story, a good plot, there's not a single movie or book that doesn't have sacrifice in it to build up the character.
Right.
Like there's always sacrifice, there's always struggles to build up a character. So like the end of the movie's like, or the end of the book's like, bam, damn, dude, they had a fucking good story.
Yeah.
If a lot of motherfuckers, if someone wrote a book or made a movie about your life,
make it interesting.
No, I'm saying like if somebody did to most people, they would be extras in their own fucking movie.
Oh yeah, 100%.
They would just be like fucking. No one would watch it. It'd be horrible.
Were you just telling me about that?
What's up?
What was that on Andy's podcast?
No, Rob Bailey talks about it all the time.
About how, like, you're a character in your movie and you're a main character and you see people. Where did I just read this? You have people in your movie, right? So, like, you gotta pretend you're sitting in a movie theater and there's a person in front of you and it's you and you're watching a movie about your life. And so you see all these, like, characters, like your mother, your husband, your brothers, your sisters, and it's through your eyes, so they're portrayed how you see them. But then you go to the next movie theater and it's your spouse sitting there and it's your spouse's movie, and then you see how they portray you in their movie.
All right. I don't know who the fuck talks about that. I ain't never heard that one before.
Oh my gosh, I don't remember where I just listened to it. It might be in the Four Agreements or the Fifth Agreement,
Sure.
maybe. But it goes on to talk about, like, it makes you think how other people are perceiving you. Because, like, it goes on and on, like, think about how your brother is perceiving you in their movie. And it says it, like, it really makes you think about how you perceive yourself and how other people perceive you. Because, right, like, I mean, we've even talked about it, like, there are people in our lives that, like, we think things about them, but we have recently learned, like, how they think about themselves, and it's completely different how we perceive them. Right, like, how they present themselves is way different than how they think they present themselves.
Yes. Yeah. That ties into, like, the ego shit.
Yeah, so sorry, that was, like, a little bit off of a thing. But it is something to think about. Like, it is part of the mental toughness, is, like, thinking about how you're presenting yourself to others.
Yeah, how other people are perceiving you.
I'll have to figure out where that's from.
Yeah, that's pretty sick. That's a different way to think about it. That is... There's a aspect of, like, I don't do it. I'm not completely transparent and honest with most people about how they are to me because I tend to be nicer. I don't try to be like, yeah, dude, you fucking suck in this round because of X, Y, and Z, or like you really crush it here, but you lack here. I'm not really. I don't often be too honest with a lot of people when it would hurt their feelings.
And so the point of it is not to do that.
Ah,
so you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's just to make you think of, like, how others are perceiving you.
Sure.
No, because that we discussed the other day was why should I ruin, like, your happiness because I think differently? No, the whole point to think about the movie is, like, how you come off to other people. To think about how you come off to other people.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Yeah. But yeah, you don't need to call people out, but, like, oh, this is how you act in my movie or whatever. No.
That makes more sense.
Yep. Because that's something else we've talked about.
So that has a lot to do with, like, writing your obituary.
Yeah.
That's, like, right in line with that. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot. Because, yeah, when you write your own obituary and you write it down how you think people would talk about you at your funeral and the things you've accomplished and the things you haven't accomplished, yeah, you got to chase that with some water.
Yeah.
And what you realize is, at least if where you're at right now, if you write like you died today and then you take it how people would talk about you today and the things you've done, you might not be too happy with your obituary. And then you write it how if you died at, like, a ripe age of 100. If you want to die at 100 and you write your obituary how you would want people to talk about you at 100, holy fuck, does it make you think about what you're doing and how people perceive you and how you're treating people. Because, yeah, like, the last thing you want is to fucking die at 30 years old and people go, wow, is he a fucking arrogant dick?
Right.
Like, you know, they would say some nice shit, right, at your thing, like, oh, yeah, he worked hard, but Jesus Christ, was he arrogant, you know?
Well, and I don't like, at my aunt's funeral, I mean, she did die young, but she had people coming that knew her, like, growing up or whatever, never stayed in contact with her, and they came to her funeral and were just like, so how'd she die?
Jesus Christ.
Like, that's how they were asking her, my mom and my other aunts, that question. It's just like,
why are you here?
Right. Like, why does that matter? But that I like not saying that's like that's a poor sense of character for her, but obviously like she must not have like do you know what I'm trying to say?
No, I don't.
She didn't make like her life like outstanding, I guess. Like she just went to work, was a mom, and like just repeated that like simple cycle. So like she didn't think about in my obituary like what do I want people to talk to me about. You know what I'm like saying? Like obviously she lived a great life
Right.
in her world,
Right.
but it was nothing like that shined to other people. Does that make sense?
She didn't make a great impact on others around her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm not saying you have to, but that is like something to think about. Like, do you want people to talk about how she was such a great mother and that like it's so sad for her child, or do you want them to ask how she died?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's kind of a morbid example,
No,
but that is something that happened in my life.
That goes right back into thinking on the outcome, not the sacrifice.
Yes.
Because, like, if you think about who the fuck you want to be when you die, then you're thinking of the outcome. You're not thinking of the sacrifice to get there. Like, oh, you know what? I want to be the best mom ever, so maybe I'm not going to do pool league. Or, whatever it may be. I want to make an impact on my friends, so I'm going to make sure I call a friend once a day and check in.
Yeah.
And so instead of scrolling, instead of not being able to scroll Instagram for 10 minutes a day, you call one friend a day during that time. What a sacrifice.
That's honestly kind of something, now that like my high school best friend is pregnant, like I've kind of been thinking about like, how do I want to be perceived to her first child? Right? Like,
Sure.
Do I want to, like, because we always like talked about being friends forever and stuff, and like, what can I do to make sure that like we stay friends and that like when her kids grow up, like they know me and you as like their other aunt and uncle or something. You know what I mean?
Right. Yep.
And like even to Quinn and Claire, I'm a lot different of an aunt than I am to all of my biological nieces and nephews. I was also 8 years old when they were born, so it is quite a bit different.
Yep, that changes things.
Yeah. But still, like, it is something that you do have to think about.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. This talk was kind, or this tutor was kind of about mental toughness and like different parts of your the mental game of life. Really, you got to think about the outcome. You have to think about how other people are perceiving you. Don't think about the consequences. Don't think about the negatives. That was another thing he said in this book.
Don't think about negatives.
Do not think about the negatives. Like, shut it off. Redirect. Always think about the positives.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? Not enough people are doing anything near that.
No, right now the world is just too much negative. All the media is negative. Everything on Facebook and whatever is negative. People, it's so funny because influencers only show the positives. Your real family and friends only share the negatives.
That's really neat. Where the hell did you hear that?
I didn't. I just made that up.
Damn, that's cool.
But
That's
that's something I've seen people post about is influencers don't show their negative sides.
That's something that's powerful with like Rob's coaching group. Is he does his wins and losses every day, or once a week he does his wins and losses. So you see like firsthand like business, life at fucking Mach 10 is by no means a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Or like, no, I shouldn't say that. It's a beautiful thing. It's by no means a comfortable thing.
Yeah.
And people might think, and they'll look at him or look at other people. I think he said his net worth's around 40 mil, 40 mil. You look at somebody like that and you look at their social media, which he is honest on his social media too.
Yeah, he is.
But like, you'll look at that shit, you'll see the cars, you'll see the warehouse, you'll see his wife, you'll see all the traveling, and you think, wow, that guy's got it made. Dude, what you don't see is the fact that motherfucker's on the road traveling 25 out of 30 days a month.
Yeah.
You don't see all the trials and tribulations he has in business, the key players he has who quit the company or move to go do something else or whatever, and he's got to find out how to fill those roles. You don't see the different like partnership changes he has in companies because people decide they want to go a different way in a partnership, and so he's got to meet new partners and he's got to get used to new partners and how they want to run the company and all this shit. And what you see or what you take away is you think, oh, wow, that must be fucking nice. Must be nice he's got half a dozen Porsches, you know? Must be nice he's got a huge warehouse and 3 personal gyms. Must be nice.
But what we didn't see was him sleeping on a bed in his office.
Right, for fucking 9 months or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you got to play an interesting line there, right? Like, the negative people need to share more positive in their lives. The positive people, I think for influential people, it is good to show your negative side because it shows people like us that they are real people, that it is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to have issues and tribulations.
I agree, and why that's tough and why most people don't do that is because they don't focus on the negative.
Which it's good.
Yeah.
But
because what you're asking or what we're asking of those people is to everything they say not to do, they have to do for us to see. So like, don't focus on the negative, redirect, focus on the outcome, focus on you winning, and then you go, oh, but hey, go ahead and tell us about all your losses and how shitty it was.
But I guess too, now that I'm thinking about it, I prefer to scroll Instagram where it's like not really people I know. Right? It's all the influential people that it's mainly positive stuff. I like scrolling that way more than I like to scroll my Facebook because it's just like people that I know and posting all their problems. Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's one thing that I don't like about some of the channels I follow is like there is so much of it points out like the negative shit going on with like politics and shit and like freedoms they're trying to take away, and it also shows like places there's pure like true corruption but nothing gets done about it, and that shit can kind of like funk up your day a little bit.
Yeah, there's like times where like Shaun and I get like angry, I guess, not at each other but just at like how fucked up the world is, and then it just fucks up your whole day because then you're already in an angry mood.
Well, that goes into like a lot of the homesteading natural shit we see is like you have to see it to know, or you have to learn about it to know. Because, dude, like, how much better do we feel now that we drink well water or filtered water only and not tap water?
Right.
Like, so much goddamn better. How much better do we feel getting rid of, like, all the seed oils and having pretty much only whole foods?
How much better do we feel that,
better.
like, Mimi has a better diet now?
Oh, right. Absolutely.
Mimi stopped drinking city water because it wasn't good.
Yeah, for, like, dude, she didn't drink water for, like, 2 months. We're like, what the fuck, dude? How are you alive? And then we started giving her well water. She just slurps that shit up.
Yep.
And it's shit like that like you have, it's part of the struggle and the sacrifice. You have to notice the negative to then find the outcome, and the outcome is for us to feel a lot better, live a lot healthier life.
Then the positive.
Which is the positive. Yeah. Love that shit.
Anyways, that was kind of a lot of topics, a lot of mental things.
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you get some knowledge for this upcoming week for you to crush it.
Hell yeah. There was something. Oh, as you can see, Shaun and Kyle started a new company. We got the apparel on.
Tutor Transformations.
Tutor Transformations. The website's not up and running because it broke. But it will be up and running hopefully after today. We'll see. Probably not.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, what happened there was like Kyle and I, we do business like parallel.
Yeah, so they each own their own home improvement company.
Yeah.
Separately.
And so we decided like we just combine efforts and do everything together to
make it easier.
Make it easier, make it better, make it all one thing, make it a real business, not just two parallel entities.
Yeah. I want to make some Tutors of Life apparel, so if you agree, hit me up so then I can rub it in Shaun's face, so we should make some.
Sounds good. All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you on the next one.
See ya.